The Bible, in both the Old and New Testaments, speaks with remarkable consistency about the dangers of idolatry. It is not merely a past transgression, but a present and pressing danger, a subtle snare that can entrap even the most devout hearts. But what exactly is idolatry? Is it simply bowing down to statues, a relic of ancient cultures? Or does it hold a deeper, more insidious meaning for us today? Idolatry, at its core, is the worship of anything other than the one true God. It is the substitution of the Creator for the created, the elevation of something finite and flawed to the place where only the infinite and perfect God deserves to reside. The Bible warns us against this with startling clarity, demonstrating time and again the devastating consequences of misplaced worship. Throughout history, humans have been prone to fashion gods in their own image, gods who reflect their desires, fears, and ambitions. From the golden calf of the Israelites to the pantheon of deities in ancient Greece and Rome, the human heart has shown a remarkable capacity for creating substitutes for the one true God. But these idols, however alluring they may seem, ultimately disappoint and destroy. The Bible is replete with stories of individuals and nations who were seduced by the allure of idolatry. Their pursuit of false gods led them down paths of destruction and despair, ultimately resulting in spiritual, moral, and societal decay. The consequences of idolatry, as depicted in Scripture, are both personal and communal, affecting individuals, families, and entire nations. The word idolatry itself comes from the Greek word eidolon, which means image or representation. This is significant because idolatry is not limited to physical objects. While bowing down to statues is certainly a form of idolatry, the concept extends far beyond tangible representations. Anything that occupies the place in our hearts that rightfully belongs to God can become an idol. It could be wealth, power, success, relationships, or even good things like family or career. Whenever we elevate something above God, allowing it to define our identity, shape our values, and dictate our choices, we are engaging in idolatry. The human heart, as the French philosopher Blaise Pascal famously observed, has a God-shaped hole. This innate longing for the divine can be misdirected, leading us to seek fulfillment and meaning in things that cannot ultimately satisfy. We may pursue wealth and possessions, believing they will bring us security and happiness, only to find ourselves empty and unfulfilled. We may chase after success and recognition, hoping to find our identity and worth in the applause of others, only to discover that true fulfillment eludes us. The insidious nature of idolatry lies in its ability to masquerade as something good, even noble. We may convince ourselves that our pursuit of wealth is for the well-being of our families, or that our desire for success is driven by a passion to make a difference in the world. However, when these pursuits become all-consuming, eclipsing our love for God and our commitment to His purposes, they have crossed the line into idolatry. One of the most well-known examples of idolatry in the Old Testament is the incident of the golden calf. Shortly after God miraculously delivered the Israelites from slavery in Egypt, they found themselves at the foot of Mount Sinai, waiting for Moses to return with the Ten Commandments. As time passed and Moses did not appear, the people grew restless and impatient. Driven by fear and uncertainty, they demanded that Aaron, Moses' brother, make them gods who would go before them. Aaron, succumbing to the pressure of the crowd, collected their gold earrings and fashioned a golden calf, declaring, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." Exodus 32:4. The golden calf incident is a stark reminder of the human tendency towards idolatry, even in the face of God's miraculous provision and faithfulness. The Israelites, having just witnessed God's power in delivering them from Egypt, quickly turned to a tangible representation of their own making, seeking security and comfort in something visible and immediate. This act of idolatry had dire consequences. When Moses returned from the mountain and saw what they had done, he was filled with anger and broke the tablets containing the Ten Commandments. The Lord, deeply grieved by their unfaithfulness, sent a plague upon the people, resulting in the death of many. The New Testament, while affirming the Old Testament's condemnation of idolatry, expands the concept to include a wider range of sins and temptations. Jesus, in his teachings, emphasized that idolatry is not merely an external act, but an internal condition of the heart. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus equated lustful thoughts with adultery and angry thoughts with murder, highlighting the importance of internal purity and the dangers of harboring sinful desires. Matthew, May 27, 28. He warned against hypocrisy, cautioning his followers against religious practices that were merely for show, emphasizing that true worship must flow from a heart that is right with God. Matthew, June, verse 18. The Apostle Paul, in his letters to the early churches, further developed the concept of idolatry, identifying greed as a form of idolatry. Colossians 3:5. He understood that the human heart, when consumed by a desire for wealth and possessions, could easily turn away from God, placing its trust and affection in material things rather than in the Creator. Paul also warned against the dangers of pride and self-righteousness, which can lead to a subtle form of idolatry, where we worship our own accomplishments and good deeds, rather than relying on God's grace and mercy. He reminded the believers in Philippi that true humility involves considering others more significant than ourselves and seeking their good above our own. Philippians 2:3-4.